Hi everybody, my name is Rainer, this is Rainier Books. Welcome to a first wrap-up video in 2023, the new year that has just started about 9 days ago exactly. 9 days ago, because today is January 9th. Let's get started. Today I want to talk about the things that I've read in the first 9 days of this new year, but I also have to go back to some reading resolutions that I've made because I forgot one. I also want to talk about 1,000 subscribers, yeah! And I want to talk about other things. Actually, I was looking for a title for this wrap-up that I want to do every week. That most people call it a wrap-up or a sum-up. I think the title that Brian has for his Saturday Hodgepodge is really good because Hodgepodge is sort of a mishmash. Maybe I call it the mishmash of the week, which I think is a Yiddish word from the Yiddish language. Mishmash, I'm going to look that up. Maybe this is the first mishmash of 2023. So let's go. I forgot one very important reading resolution last week when I did the reading resolutions video. And the thing that I forgot actually is that I want to DNF more. I forgot to tell you that I want to DNF more. And I precisely saw about 10, 15 minutes ago the reading resolutions, the reading plans that Eric Carl Anderson has made for his channel, The Lonesome Reader. And I think that what I liked about that, apart from other things that he said, which were really good, but one of the things that I really loved, and I totally share his thought about that, is I want to DNF more. Exactly what Eric Carl Anderson said. He also wants to DNF more because we only got so much time, he said. Yeah, our time of life is limited. We have a couple of years to live. We have a couple of hours to spend, a couple of minutes to spend on reading. And why should we spend these minutes and hours and maybe days with books that we don't like, that we feel that we have to read? We have to read. And I DNF'd. I did a great DNF last week, which I start with because I DNF'd The Sportswriter by Richard Ford. I wanted to read everything that Richard Ford has written. I said that when I started the channel because he's such a big name, at least in Germany where I grew up, and also in the United States. This guy won the Pulitzer. He's really a super smart author. I like to hear him when you listen to his interviews. He's very, very thoughtful and he has read so much things. He can always refer to other authors, to philosophers. He's a great intellectual. And I loved his novel Canada. Read that last year in a buddy read with Jolene. But last year I started reading The Sportswriter, which is actually the beginning of his trilogy or quadrilogy, whatever you call that, for when it has 4 books, about the character Frank Bascombe, which starts out as a sports writer in his first novel. And I read and I thought, oh no, I cannot identify with this guy who's just gotten through a divorce with a woman that he calls X. And much worse is that they have lost their son, who was 11 years old. And I think their marriage breaks apart because of the loss of the son. But then nothing's actually happening in this book. And so I read 90 pages and I said, oh my God, I have like 250 left and I can't make it. Should I make it? Because it's an important book, because it's the beginning of a trilogy. And my professor, Alan J. Hansen from the University of the Pacific, the guy I learned so much from when I studied literature at the Rheinisch-Westfälische Technische Hochschule in Aachen. He was a guest professor many, 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 many years ago. And rest in peace, Mr. Hansen. Greetings from here to Stockton, California, and wherever you are now. He said to us, if you pick up a book, and this might be Goethe, this might be Shakespeare, this might be Cervantes, this might be whatever big name it is, and this book doesn't say anything to you, this book doesn't touch your heart, you don't want to read this book, you think it's a torture for you to read this because it's so boring, it doesn't say anything to you, just take it and throw it away because this is not for you. And that's what I did with The Sportswriter. So Richard Ford, he might understand that because this guy has done a couple of things. He shot a book once by an American author, and which he didn't like. So I just say, Sportswriter is not for me. I'm going to come back to your work, Mr. Ford. I'm going to read your short stories, but the Sportswriter and I think the whole trilogy now is poisoned for me. I'm not going to read this. I'm not going to carry on. And this is one of my resolutions, to do this more often. When I don't like the first 30, 40, 50 pages of a book, DNF it, put it away, give it to someone else, maybe on a giveaway in a video, so that somebody else has the pleasure to read it, but it's not for you. So that's what I did. I finished 2 books. Actually, this one I finished last year. It's Simone Buchholz, Revolverherz. She's a German thriller author. I read that in German. It's not available in English, but 4 books of her, at least 4 novels of her thriller series around the district attorney in Hamburg, in the city of Hamburg, Chastity Riley, very German name, right? But she has an American father, are available in English. And she's a crazy writer. She's a very different writer from all the crime writers that you know. I really like this stuff. It's a story that is more like a comic strip at times. You have a very interesting district attorney who sleeps with a neighbor who has a register with several crimes on his book. In his book, so to speak, she hangs around at the Reeperbahn area, the red light district of Hamburg. She goes to football games or soccer games, as you say in America, with the FC St. Pauli. And she doesn't like and in this book, there is a horrible crime committed. I think 3 times the same crime is committed, because 3 women are killed and they're scalped. Their scalps are taken away by their killers, and the killer puts a wig on those heads and keeps the hair somewhere as a trophy. And Chastity is going to investigate this, and it's really, really funny. It's different and really fresh to read. I'm not going to read the next one because I bought the first 2 books of her series here with Chastity Riley. I'm not going to read the next one right away. Maybe I wait for 2 or 3 months, but it's just a very good book. Sometimes when you want to spend a weekend without big reading to entertain yourself, and with this crazy, weird character of Chastity Riley, it's really, really great reading. Good. The next book is also, I finished that one. It's my first book that I finished in 2023. This is in Swedish. It's not in English. I'm sorry, but I want to talk about it, and I hope that you're interested in what I have to say about the book. It is a book that was written by this guy, Nicolas Lunabba. Here's Nicolas. Written by Nicolas Lunabba, and this book is called Blir du ledsen om jag dör. He is from southern Sweden with a background, I think, in Spain, but he speaks, when you hear him speak, he speaks with a southern Swedish accent, which is very special. It's not standard Swedish, but they have a different way to speak. I like it in a way because he speaks it in a very beautiful way. And Blir du ledsen om jag dör is a quote that he got from one of the kids that he's taken care of. Nicolas Lunabba is 41 years old today, and he has started a group of activists in Malmö, in the 3rd largest city in Sweden, in the south, where there's a lot of crime, a lot of immigration, and Lunabba has started this club which is called Hela Malmö, which means the whole Malmö, the whole city of Malmö. And they try to help young people, teenagers mostly, but also young adults who are living in deprived areas of Malmö. There's a lot of deprived areas, and he's trying to help them together with a big team of other people. He never puts himself in the foreground. He always says, we are working together. And this club, Hela Malmö, they are trying to save these kids practically from becoming gang members, becoming either victims or perpetrators in the gang criminality that we have in Sweden. And in this book, it's about him. He's very open-hearted in this book. He speaks about his weaknesses and about egotism that he has with his work as well. And he speaks mainly about 3 boys that he meets, or 1 boy, but actually he meets 3 boys once at the Malmö Festival, where they play basketball with 3 young boys, 11, 12 years old. 13 years old at the time. There's this one guy called Elijah who has a mother who is addicted, and he has practically no father. And Nicolas is taking care of Elijah, and Elijah first is sleeping one night at home of Nicolas, and Nicolas is trying to teach him because his mother can't do this. She has too much to do with herself. She loves her son, of course, but she has so many issues with herself that she is not able to take the responsibility for her son Elijah. And Elijah moves very quickly into Nicolas' apartment, and he stays there full time. And at the same time, he takes more and more care of Elijah, and Elijah starts starts later reading beautiful literature, starts reading a lot of books, starts getting good grades in school, and becomes a basketball professional, not in the United States, but in several leagues in Europe. So he's well off then in the end of the book, and even today. But the other two boys, Abbe and Josef, I think their names are, they, who he played with in the beginning, who played together with Elijah, one of them actually tries to blow up another person. He gets this sort of contract that he's supposed to kill somebody else with an explosion, with a bomb, and this bomb goes off too soon. And I think that's Abbe. He loses a hand and his leg and whatever. It's a horrible accident. And the other guy, Josef, 1 or 2 years later after that happened to Abbe, the other guy is going to Linköping, like 300 kilometers away from Malmö, and he's killing. He's on a kill. And he kills another African Swedish boy and injures another one, life-threatening, and he's in prison now. So Lunabba says that he knows 22 of the boys that he cared for when he works, since he has worked with this initiative, Hela Malmö, 22 of the boys have either become victims or perpetrators of murder. And it's a horrible story, but it also shows, and that makes this book so important, I think, is that Lunabba shows very openly, without making himself like a hero or something special, also by confessing to his own mistakes, to his own shortcomings, but he shows that the real change. We have so many shootings in Sweden, 63 dead last year. We are on the top of shootings in Europe, actually, in Sweden. I mean, yes, in the United States, there's so much more shootings, but in Europe, Sweden is the number one shooting country. Number one in Europe is Sweden. 63 young people died last year. We already have the first killing in 2023 and some bombings and some shootings in 2023 as well. And we're losing these people, these boys, primarily in the suburbs, where there are a lot of migrants who have no work, who have no future, who are put aside on a sidetrack of the Swedish society. And Lunabba shows very much in this book what can happen if we really take care of the people, if we really try to work together. And he also says that real change can only come from the bottom of society. We can only make the change ourselves, because the politicians, they just talk. They just talk and talk and talk. They say that in 10 years, it takes 10 years until we're going to change this. But it takes 10 years only if we start now. And they don't start now. So nobody starts now, except people like Lunabba, who starts this Hela Malmö thing, who has started now, like other people who have started now, because they realize we have to do that. We have to try to find something else, another path in life for these young people. So that was the second book that I finished. My God. I DNF. I'm going to DNF more. That's one of my goals. And I want to read really things that are giving me something, because this gave me something here. This gave me a lot of energy, because it's a dark book, yes, but it also tells us about that there are people who are fighting for the good stuff, fighting for good reasons, and everybody can do that in his or her or their way. So, 1,000 subscribers, the next topic, the next point of this. Wow, 1,000 subscribers. I started the channel 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, in May of 2023. I'm going to celebrate my 3-year anniversary on BookTube. but I have 1,000 subscribers now, and I got them around Christmas, and it was just amazing. And now this 1,017, and I start now, of today, a question and answers. So if you want to have some questions, if you have some questions to me about my reading, about what else, put them in the comment section down below. You have 5 days until the 14th, no, until the 15th, I say, until the 15th of March. That's January. Until the 15th of January, 6 days, and you give me the questions and I will answer them in a video next week. I'm gonna do this. Everyone who has ever seen a video on my channel, everyone who has ever stood out with my singing, my whistling, my talking, thank you so much. That means so much to me. And BookTube is really a beautiful community. I saw Kieran's, I missed Kieran, the Readers, lovely channel, beautiful channel. Put a link down below. She also had she's up to 1,200 now. She has a great channel. I'm sure that she will have 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year already because she's doing such great things. And I missed her live show from the 1,000 subscribers question and answers. I'm not going to do a live show, but I'm going to do this next week. Questions. I answer your questions that you hopefully have to me and that you're put down in the comment section below. What am I reading this week? I said that I want to read more of the stuff that I really want to read, stuff that I like. One author that I actually found on the long list of the Booker that I hadn't read before, because, you know, a couple of years ago I was only reading thrillers, and I came back to literary fiction quite shortly, a couple of years ago only. I think the book was called Red Head by the Side of the Road by Ann Tyler. That was 2 or 3 years ago. Remember that book? It was on the long list of Booker. And so I discovered Ann Tyler. And what I'm having here, and I read the first chapter, I liked it. She's really an author who knows how to immerse you into writing, or like she writes such absorbing, wise, tender books, devastatingly acute about human nature. That's what Jacqueline Wilson said. Ann Tyler, and her newest novel is called French Braid, and this is a family story starting in the 1950s, and this is the one that I'm reading right now. So thank you very much for watching this video. Now it's over, I promise. I see you very soon on this channel. Have a good evening, have a great reading week. Stay healthy. Bye.